So my name's James Temple. I'm here at Eurobest 2011 in sunny Portugal. I'm the Executive Creative Director of RGA in London. I think creativity is embedded in like a number of different people. For us, we look at that sort of curiosity culture I was talking about in our presentation. But if you look at it in our organisation, there are producers who are immensely creative. And once you're around that kind of culture and people who are constantly thinking about new ideas, it's somewhat infectious. Our head of HR comes up with great ideas now. And we encourage that culture inside RGA. We have what we call a make day that happens periodically, where we close down the office for a couple of days and everyone, the company over, is encouraged to come up with new ideas and sort of make them and present them in 48 hours. Obviously, there's some people that are sort of born and bred as creative superstars, but I think there's people around that can absorb that energy. We sort of look at a creative team as there really doesn't exist this notion of just the copywriter and the art director. We certainly employ those kind of people if we're doing more of a communications challenge, but really this technologist is key to what we do, the message of innovate, make and communicate, right? So we very much look at, even if you're not a technologist, you've got that kind of enthusiasm, that sort of like curiosity around, or how could I hack Siri and use that in a project as for the benefit of my brand, my customer and my audience. So we very much look at sort of technologists as core. We look at it as a creative discipline. It's an extension of the formal creative department, creative team. Those guys are in the briefs from the get-go, from the actual sort of delivery of the end product. We just look at it as, prototyping is very important to ideas these days. Like, you've got to be able to bring something to life, just like a guy or an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley taking an idea to a VC. Like, you've got to be able to show proof of concept, show that it works, it's validated, and sort of have the confidence to take it to market. So that they're very much there to sort of like trigger and make things better, make them real, and sort of give us something tangible that we can take to market. I don't think so, because I think there's a lot of people just sort of existing in social media, and there's some people being very effective in it, like the likes of Burberry, Red Bull, Starbucks. There's people who are just sort of like using and abusing the like button and hoping for the best. So I think, like everything, you've got to look at your audience. What's the right social channel? Just because Facebook exists and it's got like a huge amount of following, doesn't mean it's the right thing to do if you're in China or if you're talking to a business audience. You need to look at something like LinkedIn, potentially. So we still sort of very much have a brand strategy role in that. We also look to use those things via the APIs creatively. I mean, you just see a very small touch in sort of the Nike Plus GPS app. You hit like, it cheers back into your running experience. So we're trying to look to that sort of functionality, both to grow mass and engage people in their own house, if you like, but also how can we look at it to sort of enhance existing experiences. So we still have a pretty big role to play in social. We're looking at a lot of things like Siri is a very sort of impressive thing. How can you it's almost like the invisible interface. If you could just walk up to something in a museum or something like a train station and just speak to it to get the information you need. I think if we can start to experiment with things like that, gesture and touch-based technologies obviously just become more and more mainstream. We're also sort of playing with things like Arduino, sort of how can you actually sort of play with physical products. I think that's something we're going to be moving more and more into, just as far as our brainstorming around how we can get the sort of software and the hardware composition together. There's lots of different things, robotics, there's going to be sort of Google Plus APIs coming along, these sort of things. So we're just constantly looking at things coming out every day that can kind of help, towards things we're making.